Greetings, my fellow YouTubers. I'm Dole, aka the Big D of Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. Back again with. Excuse me a sec. Just get the volume up on my mic a bit so you'll hear me loud and clear. Anyway, today I'm going to be doing a triple review of video games, part of my Spooktacular October. For this episode, I'm going to bring to you all three NES games of Konami's own Castlevania. Castlevania was originally released in Japan in 1986. Then the following year, it came to North America and then later on to Europe. Now, here's the actual game itself. I've actually got a used copy of it. I haven't really gotten back to playing again since this game can be much of torture at times. But I got through most of the game though, despite this game's extreme difficulty. But nevertheless, this is a classic from Konami. You can't go wrong with these guys. I mean, they were probably one of the reigning publishers at the time for the NES and other consoles at the time. Of course, others include Capcom, or heck, I'd even join Nintendo themselves. Now, of course, in Castlevania, you play the role of vampire hunter Simon Belmont. You'll take him through 6 big levels, contain a certain number of stages. Your goal is to get to Count Dracula, which is in the final stage. Now, you got your trusty whip at your side. Excuse me for my nose bothering me. I apologize, everyone. And your goal is to get past a bunch of nasty baddies that get in your way. Corpses, skeletons, let's see, harpies, and let's see, hunchbacks, which are annoying. And most notably, the annoying axe-throwing armored knights, and the Medusa heads, which are easily everyone's least favorite enemy in the game. But in the game, you play as Simon. You'll face off against, well, various types of foes. You'll face, at the end, you'll have a boss confrontation. Once you defeat the boss, you get an orb that will restore your health and what have you. And you'll go on to the next stage. Now, let me see. There's also hidden power-ups to give you a 2 or 3 at a time shot. You can get a sub-weapon aside from your whip. Those include daggers, axes, and boomer. Let's see. Wait a minute. No, wait a minute. I don't think you get daggers yet. I'm sorry. I think you get axes first, and there's the boomerang cross and the holy water. That can easily help you take out enemies, but you have to collect hearts to give you your power, because that's what you use to fill up your sub-weapon meter. What, did you think those were health? Don't worry, I'm sure a lot of y'all have played Castlevania before, so you probably know that you can find hidden areas that might have, well, meat right in there, and that can restore your health. If you take all your damage, a whole lot of damage, your health goes down. If it goes down, you lose a life. Same thing if you fall into a pit, or if your timer expires. You do have a time limit, though. But you've got plenty of time to get through a stage. Anyway, you also have big boss battles, including a big bad Medusa, the Frankenstein monster, the mummy, and death. Via all those 5, and then you'll go against Dracula, which I have never gotten to him. I've only gotten to death one time and never can get back to him. I hope to pop Castlevania back in one day. I mean, I'm going to say, if you've never played Castlevania, despite its difficulty, I will say I'd suggest you give this a shot. You will absolutely love this game. Okay, now next up is Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest Originally released in Japan in 1987, and then the following year it came to North America, and then came to Europe and other PAL regions a couple of years later in 1990. Now this was considered the black sheep of the franchise. It said after the events of the first one, you once again assume the role of Simon Belmont, who was on a journey to undo a curse placed on him by Dracula at the end of their previous encounter. With Dracula's body split into 5 parts, Simon must find and bring them to the ruins of his castle and defeat him. This is kind of like, and it is a platform, but it has kind of an action RPG feel. I've never played this though, but since it ranks in action RPG territory for NES games, for most notably games like Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link or Faxanadu, this game isn't too bad. Now, I forgot to mention one thing about the original Castlevania, and the same thing goes for the second one and the third one, which I'll be talking about in just a moment. They all have good soundtracks and what have you. Now, of course, I absolutely do love Vampire Hunter, which is the first song you hear in the original. Now, the main song you hear in the daytime of this game is Bloody Tears, which is possibly a favorite of everyone's. But hey, everyone has their opinion on what Castlevania tunes they like. But anyway, that's one of the good things I actually like about the Castlevania games, is that they have good soundtracks. Now, anyway, let's see. But anyway, Castlevania 2 is also compared to other types of non-linear games, most notably the original Metroid, which would soon spark a Metroidvania craze. Anyway, you got a world map, which you can explore and revisit. You can talk to villagers who will offer him clues or even lies. Can sell items and other things. Let's see. Now, let's see. You have to collect hearts in order to boost up your experience rating. Now, after he finds a sufficient amount, Simon's level and maximum health will increase with his experience rating. Now, you'll go through a daytime, and sometimes it'll stop, and then you'll go to a nighttime state, where you have to be pretty darn careful. Now, let's see. There's magic weapons, which are much more different than what we've got from the other game. The only one from the original we get is Holy Water, but it can disintegrate walls that conceal hidden items and other things. Let's see. And there's so many others. But anyway, once you defeat Dracula at the end, there are 3 possible endings depending on the time taken by the game. Let's see. And the best ending is achieved when you beat the game's story within 8 days. So anyway, that's real good, but I can't remember how long it would be for the other one, so. Even so, Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, I'd say give it a try. I mean, I know some people rant on this because it's different than the original. I completely understand. However, I find this to be alright. If I ever happen to encounter this somewhere, I'll give it a shot. Now, actually, earlier this year, you can play that and the first one and several other Castlevania games on the Castlevania collection that just came out earlier this year for the PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, PC, which that's pretty cool. Okay, and last but certainly not least is what brought the franchise back to its original roots, Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. Originally released in Japan in 1989, then the following year it came to North America in 1990, and then 2 years later came to Europe. But the game is a little more harder than the other ones because it's notorious for its difficulty and is notable for its highly regarded soundtrack. And I have to agree. Though this is the one game I have not taken the time to see a walkthrough of so much. I have seen a few walkthroughs of the game. Anyway, the game's protagonist is Trevor Belmont, one of Simon's ancestors. It's a prequel to the original Castlevania, of course, much like the earlier Game Boy game, Castlevania The Adventure, which was released I think, the same year this was. But I might be wrong, though. Anyway, but however, the game's sort of non-linear too. Now, Trevor can be assisted by one of 3 possible assisting characters. After completing the first level and at several other points throughout the game, the player is given a choice of 2 branching paths to follow. And you can obtain multiple endings depending on the choices they make throughout the game. Anyway, now the 3 characters you get joins Trevor are Sypha, a young sorceress with a poor physical attack power but powerful elemental magic spells at her disposal. Grant, a pirate with the ability to climb on walls and change direction mid-jump, rare ability in the earlier games of the series, and Dracula's son, Alucard, which of course that's Dracula spelled backwards. And he has the ability to shoot fireballs and transform into a bat, just like his old man. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. His dad. You get the idea. At least I hope. Anyway, I think this is really cool. Now, you can only be accompanied by one companion at a time. If you choose to take on another, you must abandon his current one. You can spiritually transform between Trevor and his ally with the select button. Both Trevor and whoever is accompanying him share the same health meter. The ending of the game differs depending on which companion Trevor has with him at the time, or if he does not take another character with him at all. You'll go up against all sorts of baddies, just like the first game and the second game. Get through those and you'll face Dracula in the end. Now, the good song in this is Beginnings, which that's, of course, another good staple of the Castlevania franchise. Now, would I recommend the game? I'd say hell yeah. This game's pretty cool, actually. I've never played it, and I know my old NFC Twin, which I'm probably going to give up soon, doesn't really support that game. But I'm sure other systems might support it, though. But who knows? Now, of course, there was one more game released on the NES, but I'm probably not going to talk about it. It's kind of more of a little spin-off called Kid Dracula, which was only released in Japan, but more recently, it finally came out to North America, part of the more recent Castlevania collection I was telling you about. But maybe I'll talk about it another time, though. But anyway, I'd say give all the 3 NES Castlevania games a shot, even Simon's Quest. Here again is my copy of the original. Yeah, but it's a pretty cool game. Again, I'd suggest you give this a try. Anyway, next time around, soon I'll be doing reviews of the other games. Probably not tomorrow, but later on next week, I will continue when I review other games, including, I was going to do just 2, but I'll probably review all 3 Game Boy games, also Super Castlevania 4 for Super Nintendo, and Castlevania Bloodlines for Sega Genesis. I'll do those in back-to-back reviews, as well as Rondo of Blood, which was only released in Japan, and, of course, probably the most exciting game there was one I would give anything to play, even though despite the game's pricey though, and that would be Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which I think is probably the coolest Castlevania I have seen before any other types of Castlevania games came out after this. But anyway, please let me know what your favorite Castlevania NES game is in the comments section. Like and subscribe to my channel, and thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.